Let's walk through the interior of our 2000 Winnebago Minnie. First thing you'll notice is the power step that we have. Every time the door opens and closes, the step comes in and out unless you flip a little switch that will keep it out. Just inside the door on the left side of the entry, you'll see a little switch that says step. Flip it up. That'll keep it out. Now when the door closes, the stair will stay out. All right, let's go ahead and go on in. So as we look back at the entry, you'll see there are a few switches. First of all, at the bottom is the master electrical switch. Just always keep this turned on. You'll see our power step, and then you've got a few different light switches in here for the overhead, the floodlight on the outside, and then the night light. You'll also see the option to extend and retract the slide. If you push the button to extend, you'll notice nothing happens unless you come over here and engage the emergency brake. The slide will only extend when the emergency brake is engaged. Make sure you fully extend the slide. There are gaskets that go around that have to be completely contacting to keep water out. You'll know from that sound that you've made it. To pull it in, just do the exact opposite. Hit retract, and again bring it all the way. The dinette will come up almost flush with the linoleum. So let's look at the cab of the truck. It's pretty standard with the exception of the backup camera that we have here. This backup camera is wired into the headlights, so you'll only see an image when you first of all turn the headlights on, and then of course you've also got to hit the button that is on the 12-volt adapter. Once you do that, then you'll be able to see what's going on behind you as you're trying to back up. Every once in a while, a little kid will hit the button on here and things will look a little bit out of whack. Just keep hitting the button, it cycles through everything. Happens almost every trip. Don't worry about it. So let's look at the bunk that's above the cab. So in addition to the sleeping area, we've also got a little bit of storage up here. We have these reflective cutouts that can be put over each one of the windows and the vents for those summer days where it's a little bit toasty. We've got the step ladder, and then of course we've got the bed that you can sleep on. Personally, I like to have a little more headroom as I'm driving, so I have it up. When it's time to sleep, you just pull it out. Then when you're done, just lift it up, slide one right back on top of the other. All there is to it. When it's finally time to call it a night, you'll want some privacy, so we have a blind that will cover up that windshield. It's stored in the cupboards above the slide. Up in that first cupboard, you'll see there's a white envelope. The blind goes across the front of the windshield on the outside, and it just pinches inside the doors. There's also another cover that can be used on the door to the motorhome. We just open it up, lay it on top of the frame, and close it. Usually that works well enough. The other three compartments are yours to store whatever you'd like. There's also a little bit of storage back underneath the dinette, underneath the seats. Usually we've got a little electric space heater back there. This one's where the kids tend to store their shoes and toy dinosaurs. And then of course you've got a little bit of storage underneath the jackknife sofa. Speaking of the jackknife sofa, that does also turn into a bed. You just lift up on the little bar underneath the cushions and it'll lay out flat for you. Be careful, you'll have to fish those seat belts out in the morning, but it's a lot more comfortable than sleeping with them underneath you. Then the dinette also converts to a bed as well. To convert the dinette to a bed, first thing you're going to want to do is remove the cushions, because otherwise the molding around the table it's not going to fit. So cushions come out, and then once they're done, you'll notice that single leg on the end has a little button on it. You're going to push that button and then push the leg back. You'll notice there's a French cleat type hinge at the back that just allows it to nicely pivot right on down, catch on the bars that are there, and then you're pretty much good to go. Just need to put the cushions back on there, and this is what the bed looks like. So now let's look at the sink. If you're not connected to hookups, when you turn the water on, nothing happens. You need to come over to the panel, turn on the water pump. You'll see the red light goes on, and then like magic, you'll have water. Now, it's not like a regular home where the hot water heater is always up and running. If you want hot water, then you specifically have to turn the hot water heater on. Again, back on the control panel, you'll see there's a switch for the water heater. As soon as you turn it on, you'll see a yellow light saying pilot out. While it's igniting, you're going to hear the flames come up, and then after about a half hour, you'll have hot water here. Also on the control panel, we have the switch to turn on the generator. To turn the generator on, well, first thing you want to make sure is there's nothing significant pulling power from the generator, like the air. So turn that to off. Come back, you're going to hold down the switch. Sometimes it can take up to 10 seconds. You'll hear it fire up, and you'll see the Hobbs meter is activated as well. When you're ready to be finished, just hold down stop, and it'll shut right off. It's important to know that the gas tank for the motorhome is also what's fueling the generator. There's a safety feature where if you drop below a quarter tank of gas for the motorhome, the generator will shut off. The thought is that if you're out camping and you're running the generator, you don't want to find yourself running out your gas tank and unable to get back to civilization. So once you get down to quarter tank, it automatically shuts off. So please keep this above a quarter tank. The last button on our control panel is to test levels. You'll see that you'll have your holding tanks, freshwater, propane, and battery. A couple things to note here. The black water shows that it's about a third of the way full. You need to make sure that you use plenty of water when you flush. Otherwise, you end up with just solids in there that can dry. That causes lots of problems. Use plenty of water. The liquid propane also shows 2/3 instead of full. This is because propane needs a little bit of room to expand and contract. So at 80%, it's actually full. So depending on how warm it is, it might show full, it might show 2/3. Just heads up so you're aware. So as you look at the full kitchen, you'll probably notice that you can get a little more counter space by popping up this panel at the end. Then there's another one that's underneath the microwave. And then we also tend to use the dinette table for things like making pancakes. There's an outlet right there for a griddle. When it comes to storage, you've got a lot of room in this. Up top, we've got the 3 cupboards. You'll notice that the shelf has a little bit of a lip, so it will prevent things from sliding off as long as you're cautious about making your right-hand turns. You've got the same thing in the cupboard that's right over the oven. There's that little lip. I'd still, again, please don't put anything heavy up there. That's still not a good idea. Down below the sink, we've got a white wash basin for washing dishes if you don't have paper, and then we've got a drying rack for them. Then we've got a number of drawers. These drawers have pretty thin wood on the bottom. It's only about 1/8 of an inch. We've had to replace a couple of these that we've done with 1/4 inch so that we could put heavier stuff in there. Just please watch out for those. That's usually where we have the pots and the pans. And then as we come over here to the refrigerator, underneath the fridge, this is where I keep all the treats. And let's look at the fridge. This is a little bit different than what you've got in your kitchen at home. You'll notice that it has a little note for AC, liquid propane is LP, and then auto. The mode button lets you switch back and forth. AC if you want to be connected just to the power, LP for just the propane on board. Just leave this on auto and it will automatically select. If there's electricity, it'll use that. If not, it'll use the propane. There's also the temperature set. We usually keep it about 7 to keep things nice and cold. You'll also notice the on-off button. That's something that if you bump it, things are going to get warm real fast. You'll also notice that we've got child locks here. These aren't for the kids. Again, this is for when you make a right-hand turn. You don't want things falling out of the fridge because these little gray levers that they have really don't do the trick. So use the child lock. Below the fridge, you'll notice off on the left, you've got a propane alarm. If there is a propane leak, that thing will sound. Then you've got your circuit breakers off on the right side. So you shouldn't ever need those, but if you do, that's where they are. Looking at the television, you'll notice it has a unique ceiling mount. You push up on the bottom of the television and it'll drop down. Then it's also got a little bit of a swivel to it. If you're driving and you want to watch, you have to have the generator going or a power inverter. It will not run without one of those two. When you're done, push it up, you'll see how it catches, and you're good to go. Moving back to the bedroom, you'll notice that there's also quite a bit of storage back here as well. Starting up above the bed, we keep the smaller pillows right up here. This is for those who are going to be sleeping on the dinette, the jackknife sofa, or in the bunk. We've also got a couple extra blankets that we usually throw up here too, and you've got room for whatever else you want to toss in. You've got the wardrobe on the side that's got some place for your hangers, and then you've got 3 drawers over here. Again, it's just the thin 1/8 inch stuff, so nothing too heavy. Off on the other side of the bed, you'll see that there's an outlet. So if you've got a charger for your phone, whatnot, you've got that. And then you've got 3 smaller drawers as well. For the heavier items, underneath the bed you do have quite a bit of storage. This is just the right size for a cooler if you've got more than you can fit in the fridge. Underneath the television, we've got a little linen rack that's in here. We've got another empty drawer. And then just like home, this is our junk drawer. Random stuff goes in here. And that brings us now over to the bathroom. It's your typical RV bathroom. Not much to write home about. You've got a sink, a toilet, a little bit of a cupboard up above. Usually we will keep the toilet paper up here. You don't necessarily need to use the RV stuff. You can use regular toilet paper as long as you use plenty of water when you flush. So this is the one place where you really don't want to be sparing with the water. You've got your toilet, lid comes up, seat comes up as well. You've got the pedal on the right that will bring the water in to fill it up. And then the pedal on the left will open the hole to flush it down and also bring in some water to help rinse things out. You've got a couple light switches over here on the side. This is for the light inside the bathroom as well as the shower. People tend to get worried because they think they broke the lid on the toilet. Just the way they make these RV toilets, it's just a little C-shaped clip. So when it inevitably pops off, don't worry about it. You'll see that it just slides right back on. Just push it on and drop it down. You're good to go. That's all there is to it. Then of course you've got your RV shower. Again, not much to write home about. If you want hot water, make sure that that switch for the hot water has been turned on. You've only got a 6-gallon hot water tank, so you'll want relatively short showers here. The last thing we're going to talk through inside the motorhome is the antenna for the television, which is right by the door. If you look up top, you'll see this lever. This is not a flux capacitor, but this will raise your antenna. See the shadow here. Make sure it goes all the way up. If it's not all the way up, it can be damaging to the hinge. Once it's up, you can pull down on that little outer ring and you can spin it around, try and get a little bit better signal wherever you happen to be. When it is up, I tend to put the keys up there just to remind me that it needs to come down. When we're all done, make sure that you line up the two little arrows, the arrow on that outer plate with the arrow that's affixed to the roof. Just line those up, turn the lever, and again, make sure everything comes all the way down. Now you're ready to head on home. Thanks for walking through our 2000 Winnebago Minnie with us, and safe travels.